banlieue sud, banlieue nord, je vais me les faire sans des scènes de manager. Bulldozer, brillantine, pourquoi faire sans des scènes de manager?
Alain Bashung was a French singer-songwriter and actor. He had a career that had quite a bit of ups and downs in it, but spanned from 1966 to 2009 when he died. He is credited with reviving chanson style, but that's not the only style that he tackled in his 16 albums, the last two of which were released posthumously. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of Blessures by Alain Bashung, which was his fourth album, and it is my first encounter, I think, with him, certainly with this album. Now, apparently this album has been regarded as being a big deal in France, and apparently he was a big deal in France. The Wikipedia page says something about second only to Gainsbourg. So at this point, he'd just had two pop hits recently, and he wanted to build on that, but to do something that was a bit more experimental. So he produced this album. Now, apparently, it sold badly and initially confused critics, but retrospectively has been hailed as a classic. It has been, and I've seen descriptions of this as inaccessible, partly due to having difficult and hard to decipher lyrics. So for me, I think that maybe that is less of a barrier because they're in French, so they're not a problem to me because I don't understand them at all. So, and that's just would be the case whatever they said in French. Apparently, though, they were written as kind of somewhat nonsense English and then translated into French, and I'm kind of wondering how on earth that manifests itself. So, if you're a French speaker and you know this album, I'd love to know what that became on this album. So, please leave me some useful information in a comment. That'd be great. So, most of this album was co-written by Serge Gainsbourg, who I mentioned a little bit before, and it's described as cold wave by both Acclaimed Music and Wikipedia, and I can't argue because I don't really know what cold wave is, although I have gone and looked it up. I think when I initially listened to it, I wondered if it might be something that would be described as dark wave, and apparently there are similarities between those two. So it's very synthy and stark and cold. It's kind of like, in my head, like Gary Newman, but pushed to make it more gothic. Actually, it reminded me in sound of an approach a lot of, and this is going to be a really obscure reference, so I'm sorry that very few people will understand this one. It's an album called The Waking Hour by a project called Dallas Car, which was a project by two guys, one from Bauhaus and one from Japan. That's the band Japan. Which has a very similar kind of feel and sound to this, although not quite as dark. The approach to the arrangement is actually very, I would say, early 80s. The sounds that he used, there's lots of drum machines used, lots of synth, there's bits of floaty synth, there's bits of percussive sounding synth, and there's at times more later on in the album, there's some unprocessed, so processed but undistorted guitar sounds. Which the process on them made them go well with the rest of the album, I would say. Maybe for this kind of sound, it was a bit earlier than others that did similar sounds. So maybe it was breaking new ground, and my solid hold on the history of this is not as solid as it could be. I would use the word angular here to describe this, which is a great word that I came across a little while back, not more than a little while back, by which I mean the opposite of smooth. So it's got angles and it's janky, and it's also, as I've said already, it's got the darkness of goth stuff. I would possibly also, if I want to be more poetic, describe this as music for techno witches. Make of that what you like. So um, I didn't find it myself that inaccessible. Maybe that's partly because, in retrospect, these kind of sounds became more of a thing. Maybe it's just because I have been keen on similar stuff in the past. Maybe it's my understanding or lack of understanding of French that helps make it more accessible because I don't expect to be able to understand the words. Or maybe there's other reasons for that. Let me know. Did you find it inaccessible, or did you find it easy to get into? Did you like it? I quite enjoyed it, and I'm starting to do what I usually do at this stage, which is to ask you what you think of this album. I'd love to know, but give me some thoughts on these kind of nuances on it. Whether you found it inaccessible, whether you think that it was breaking new ground at the point it came. I gather it may well have been influential in Cold Wave, which was a French movement in pop music. So yeah, let me know anything you know on these things and your opinions. I'd love to hear from you. That's it from me for now.
Dans la moiteur de la nique, j'entends des râleurs, j'entends des criques. Tu as envie de mort.